saving. Unlike softwares like Rhino or many other 3D softwares where you save the file that you have open, in Unreal Engine it's slightly more complex, because we have the project, which contains everything, but within the project we can have different levels or different maps, and they have to be saved separately. If you click on File, you will see that it says Save Current Level As, or Save All. And we are currently running a level that's called Untitled, and has a little asterisk under it, which basically shows that it's unsaved. We go to the content browser and we cannot see any levels. The first thing we're going to do is right click and create a new folder that's called Levels. And inside here we're going to save this level that we're in here now as a new level. So we go File, Save Current Level As. It will open up a new save dialog box, and we click on the level folder that we just created, and we can call this SPOP01 save, and it will save that map. And when you open the Unreal Engine project, there will be a default map, and it might not be the map that you're actually working on, and it might be very confusing. Or you'll see now that something changed, and I had all of these buildings hidden, and when I saved they showed up again. So that's something to keep in mind, that this visibility is not a kind of fixed setting. It's just basically when you're working. So I'm going to hide them again and go back to this. So now we can go on to our content drawer and click on level, and we can see here that level. And now if I save all, it will save that, and I'm going to close it, and we will reopen this project and see what happens. So I'm going to close it and wait for Epic Game Launcher to start. Epic Game Launcher always starts when you've closed a project, and it opens when you close a project, and it closes again when you start a new project. So I'm going to go back to my library again, and here we can see the Studio SPOP underscore, which is the project that we were just working on. So if I double click on this, it will take a second to start, but because I just run it, it has a way to kind of save incrementally, so that it doesn't take so long. So you can see now that we're back to the same view that we had as a default, and all of the buildings and everything that I put in here, they are not here anymore. It looks exactly like what the project looked like when I first started working. So don't panic, because that's in a different level. So if we go to levels, and we can see here SPOP underscore 1, we double click on that, it will launch that level that we were just working on. So basically this means that you can have, with the same content, the same stuff, you can create several different worlds or different levels that you can cut in between. This is basically set up for the gaming world, where you have one game and maybe 15 different levels that all do very different things and looks in very different ways, and they load one after the other as you're playing. So the default one that we were just in, it should be in here somewhere, but basically what we do not want is for every single time we launch Unreal Engine, for it to open in that default one, so that like you open it and you have to let it load, and then open and load the level. So we can go to project settings and change the default. So this is the project settings that has basically all of the settings, and let's see if I can find it here now. The handy thing in the settings in Unreal Engine is that we can search for everything. So basically you would rarely scroll through here and actually look for exactly the kind of thing that you're after, because you can see here just how many different settings there are, and if you click on each one of them, then usually there's a lot of different settings. In this case, we're looking for changing the default. Let's try maps, which is another way that levels are described, and here we have it. So project, maps, and modes, we can find that somewhere here. Oh, there it is, maps and modes, and underneath here we can see default maps, and this is basically what will be launched. And in this case, open world was the level that opened, and in this case we want it to start with the level or the map that we just created. So if you click here, you will see a list of all the different levels. Spop_01 is the one we want, and I'm going to change that both in the editor startup map and in the game default map. And there's no need to save in here, it just automatically does it. So we can close this and we can save all, and if we close it again now and we let the Epic Game Launcher launch again, and we go back to library and we start our project, then now it should open up with the level that we were just working on. So you can, yes, there we go. So you can think about this as a way to also save incrementally. If you're like, okay, this, you're working on something, you think this is exciting, but you might want to change a lot of big settings, delete things, and you want to keep another version, then you can simply, let's say here, we delete the whole landscape, which is here from default. So I'm going to select all of these and create another floor somehow. Maybe we create a different floor with one of these cubes. So we're going to scale it. And instead of scaling it like this, because it takes a lot of time, I'm going to do it down here instead and type in like 1,000 by 1,000, 10,000. Oops, that was the wrong here. So now we have a floor using that cube. So let's say like maybe I want to keep that landscape if I want to use it for something else. So then now we can go to File, save current level as, and simply call it O2, save. So in that sense you can keep different versions of what you're working on.